Today I'm here to talk to you about the physiology of willpower and motivation, because this is the bit that so many of us really underappreciate or just completely ignore. We tend to blame ourselves, we tend to pin everything on us being useless, on us being lazy and demotivated and that kind of thing, when actually there's a lot going on inside your body. There's a lot happening hormonally, chemically, in your body and in your brain that really impact your willpower. So this is what we're going to be looking at today, is what's going on internally, what can you actually influence to improve your overall willpower and therefore your consistency and therefore your results. And there's a lot to think about here. Now really we're talking about the things that impact willpower. So we're talking about energy, we're talking about cravings, things like emotional eating, which isn't always wholly emotional. There can be other things going on that can trigger that kind of emotional eating. So the best place to start with all of this is with blood sugars, which, by the way, is the best place to start with anything. Anything that's going on in your body, be that fatigue, be it digestive issues, be it poor sleep, be it menopausal symptoms, stubborn weight, whatever it might be, the best place to start is always with your blood sugars. Why? Because blood sugars massively impact your cravings, your willpower, your energy, and that means that it's going to impact your efforts and your consistency. So let's talk about blood sugar. When you eat food, you digest it down into various different things, one of those things being glucose molecules, which is basically sugar, and that then gets absorbed into your bloodstream, and you will then release the hormone insulin, which is there to help move that sugar out of your bloodstream into your cells so that you can make energy. Simple, right? Pretty simple. Now, the problem is that when that works well, that's great. When that's not working well, when there's too much sugar coming through, when there's not enough sugar coming through, when it's coming through too quickly, that's when we get problems. So if you eat something that is either high in sugar or carbohydrates, or if it's digested very quickly, then that results in a spike in your blood sugars. And at that point, you can feel energized, you can feel motivated, you can feel pretty good. The problem is that a sugar high is always followed by a sugar crash. And I'm saying sugar, but remember, I'm not just talking about if you've eaten a chocolate bar. I'm talking about if you've had a meal that perhaps isn't quite balanced. Maybe there wasn't enough protein or fiber or fat to give you a steady release of carbohydrates and sugars into your bloodstream. So when you have that sugar high, it's always followed by a sugar low. And when those blood sugars dip down, that's when you'll experience cravings, poor concentration, irritability, poor willpower, fatigue. Some people get a bit shaky. Some people feel this real need to eat. Your body is super clever. It's very adaptable, and the way that your body is built to deal with this blood sugar dip is to make you crave sugar and carbohydrates, because that is the quickest way to bring your blood sugars back up. So you have this blood sugar dip, you get the cravings, really difficult to ignore, so you go ahead and you eat something that you probably didn't want to have, something sugary or something carby, maybe savory. That brings your blood sugars back up nice and quickly, and then you've got another blood sugar high. So a bit later on you'll have another sugar crash, and then you'll get cravings again, and the cycle continues. And this is a roller coaster. It's the blood sugar roller coaster, and this is what keeps you from being consistent, keeps you from, this is the thing that causes, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you feel super motivated, you're going to be really good today, you're going to eat all good stuff, and then somehow by the afternoon or by the evening you're eating, you know, things that you didn't want to have, things that you didn't plan on having, because you just can't resist it. The cravings are just too strong. You don't have enough willpower or resolve left to resist those cravings anymore. So that's a big part of why cravings can come in, which very much impacts your willpower. So that is the first thing that needs to be addressed to help you stay more consistent. And what that means is that we need to be ensuring that you're getting enough protein, fats and fiber, and that's something that looks a little bit different for everyone, so it's difficult to give generic recommendations, but on the whole you want to make sure that you're having a source of protein with every meal, and that you're never having just carbohydrates on their own. So that means that, no, this is particularly true when it comes to snacks, because you're probably more likely to have only carbs in a snack than you are if you're having a meal. But it's equally as important, but it's easier to get the protein into a meal. So a good example of this would be like if you were going to go for a snack and you picked up a packet of crisps or a muesli bar or some Ryvita, if you picked up some, mine's gone blank, a chocolate bar, or just, you know, even just a few squares of dark chocolate. We know that dark chocolate is actually pretty healthy, but there's no protein in there, so that on its own as a snack is not going to set you up for stable blood sugars and stable willpower as well. So we want to make sure that we're combining the protein with the carbohydrates. If you're having the carbohydrates, you don't always have to have them, but we want to make sure that we're combining those two things so that you're not getting that that sudden release of sugars into your system, and so that you're not experiencing that sugar crash which throws you off track. So that's the pure physiology of it all, and that's the food side of it. There's also other things that really impact your blood sugars, and things like stress can cause elevations in blood sugar. Things like lack of sleep, smoking, caffeine, certain medications, gut bacteria, hormone fluctuations. There's loads of things that can cause elevations in blood sugar. The food is one piece of that puzzle, so it's a good place to start with your food, and then, you know, if identifying other areas that might need attention can really help to stabilize that willpower, or stabilize the blood sugars, which therefore helps with your willpower. And then the other thing to think about, which I kind of forgot to say earlier, is that whilst you're on this blood sugar roller coaster and they're going up and down and peaking and crashing, you're experiencing a lot of emotions along the way, and, you know, what's happening with your blood sugars is controlled by, you know, what you're eating, or how well you're sleeping, or how much caffeine you're having, and that kind of thing. But every time your blood sugars crash and you get cravings, and then you eat something that you didn't plan on eating, you feel guilty, you feel rubbish, you feel like you've ruined your diet. And, you know, over time this can mean that you develop a really poor relationship with food, which starts to make food feel like the enemy, and it can start to make it really difficult to kind of have a clear head when you're making food choices. So bear in mind, this is something that I think helps with easing that guilt, is that when you're getting cravings, that's not your fault. It's not that you're weak, it's not that you're you know, that you don't want it enough, that you don't have very good willpower. It's a physiological thing that's happening that's causing this. So let go of the guilt, because all the guilt does is make you feel bad about yourself and then encourages you to eat more of the stuff, more of the stuff that is causing those cravings and is making you feel rubbish. So it's a vicious cycle. We tend to eat things to make ourselves feel better when we've got those cravings. So hopefully that helps, and let me know if any of this has resonated with you. What is it that you struggle with? What do you crave? And I'll be back tomorrow to talk about more on this topic of motivation and willpower and the mindset piece as well. So I'll see you then. Oh, and one more thing to say is that tonight I'm hosting my web class, Stop Dieting and Start Seeing Results. And this is a web class which we're going to go through this in much more detail, what we've been talking about today, the willpower piece, the hormones, and how there's much more to it than just how much calories you're burning and how many calories you're eating. So if you haven't already, make sure you join me for that. I'll drop the link in the comments so that you can save your space. And if you can make it live, then great, come along, you'll get a free gift. If you can't make it live, register anyway, and I'll send you the recording. You won't get the free gift, but you'll still be able to see the replay. All right, well, enjoy the sunshine, everyone. And if you can make it tonight, I'll see you then. And if you can't, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.